Laura Belgray, welcome to the Woman Owned podcast. And the place that I want to start is for you to share with us your woman owned story.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. And it's good to be here, Eleanor. Okay, my woman-owned story. Um, I never expected to have a business. I got into copywriting via my dream job, which was writing promos for TV. And that was in my 20s, through my 30s. And it was an absolute, like, just the ultimate dream job for me because I dreamed of getting paid to watch TV, and that's as close as you can come. I watched a lot of TV and
Same.
wrote the funny little things that go on air during the commercials, like telling you to tune in for the shows. And then around age 40, I was starting to fall into a bit of a creative rut, and I knew that I still loved what I did, but I knew that I had more to say and something else that I could do with my writing and with my voice. And I had no idea what that was, but at that time, I had I had made friends with this person who I met in hip hop class at Crunch, and I hated her at first because she was like so fantastic, always at the front, slamming body, great moves, hit every move, every beat, hit, always picked to demonstrate the moves at the front of the class. And one day I started talking to her and found out that she was actually really nice and I couldn't hate her anymore. And we became friends and started walking home together from hip hop class. And that person was Marie Forleo. And she kind of pulled me into the online world. She knew that I was a copywriter, and she was putting on her first live event called Rich, Happy, and Hot Live. And it was for like 50 people in Soho House. And she invited me to give a talk on copywriting at this thing. And so I did. I put together a talk. This was the first presentation I'd ever done. And it was called Five Secrets to Non-Sucky Copy. And,
Come
and it,
on. Come
yeah,
on. That's a great hook.
thank you. It actually became like my first opt-in, which is another story. So people after I gave this talk started coming up to me and saying, hi, I'm a realtor or I'm a coach. I need help with my copywriting. Can you help me write my about page or can you help me write my home page? And I'd never done that kind of like online copywriting. I had just written for on air on TV, but I knew that I could do a better job than most people because I knew how to write in a human voice, and most people don't. So I started taking on these private clients and ended up segueing into the online world. And eventually, um, kind of TV promos fell by the wayside. I also got dropped from my biggest client, like ended my contract, which was devastating at the time. And I was like, oh no, now I'm going to have to find a way to make up like this six-figure income. And I eventually did that because I had been building an email list of people in the online world because this same Marie Forleo told me while I was building my website, I was just building it to get more promo clients. She said, you're going to have a blog, right? And I was like, oh, that sounds fun, but isn't it too late to have a blog? This was 2009. And she was like, no, you moron. You've got to have, especially you love to write. Of course, you have to have a blog. And she said, what are you going to have as your opt-in? And I said, my what in? And so she like took out a one of those yellow legal pads and started diagramming on it how to have an opt-in and the automated confirmation email she's like, you're going to set up an Aweber account and then you're going to have this automated email and your list is gold. Just trust me on this. And for once in my entire life, I followed instructions and put up an opt-in and
It
that
had to be
freebie.
Marie. It had to
Yep.
be Marie. Yeah.
Had to be Marie. I'm so glad I listened to her because I don't usually take advice. I don't usually do what I should. And so I started blogging and writing emails to my list that really just drove to the blog at the time. And so I had a small audience who I could sell services to. and I could let them know, like, hey, I'm available to do this kind of copywriting if you need a copywriter. And I more than made up that TV income and eventually just started working with private clients. And then in around 2019, like 10 years into my business, I was like, I'm tired of writing for private clients. I want to write just in my voice and somehow make money. If only I could just make money, like make a living writing these emails, because I love writing emails. And I figured out, like, oh, if I sell things in the emails, that will do it. And so I phased out clients and started offering my own products and courses. And we already had the Copy Cure,
Yes.
which is my
That's where I
course with
first
Marie
heard
Forleo.
about you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was through that because I was on Marie Forleo's list like everybody else in the world.
Right.
I was on her list, and that's when I first saw that. Yeah, it's where I first got to know your work.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Copy Cure is such a great course, and I'm so lucky that Marie invited me to partner with her in creating a copy course. I mean, it's been life-changing for me. It's done it. We have thousands and thousands of clients, and it has done very well and continues to because it's great and people love it. So we had that, and I had already been making off affiliate offers to my email list since around 2014. And so I knew I could do it. I
And
couldn't,
just to pause for one
yeah,
sec. So for
go
folks
ahead.
who don't know, so some people will be from the online world here, some will not. Do you mind just
Yeah.
giving like the Coles notes of what affiliate offers are, just so that they can keep
Yes,
up? Yeah.
of course. So in the online business world, like the course creator world, it's generally offering other people's courses for a commission. So Marie had come out with B School in 2010, and I saw other people selling it as affiliates, saying like, "Hey, my friend Marie is offering this course. It's incredible. It's life changing. If you buy it through me, you'll get these bonuses." And I thought, well, I could do that. And I could do it in a more interesting way than they can. So I tried my hand at it. And I could not believe what a great way it was to make money. I was writing my fun emails and offering something I believed in, like that's called marketing. And people were buying it from me because they wanted my bonuses. And then I got the commission of 50%. I got $1,000 for each person who bought it from me. So I was like, holy crap, is this a great way to make money? Now, that's not the only way to be an affiliate. Like you could be if you subscribe to any kind of newsletters that like The Strategist that talks about their favorite products, those are all linked. Those are all affiliate links. And so if you buy it through those links, like you buy an umbrella that they like through their link, they get a commission. And they have, I don't know how many subscribers, probably millions.
Mhm.
And so that's another great way to use your writing
Yeah.
to make a living. It doesn't have to be courses.
So you start out in roughly 2009. I
Yeah.
love you have such a great woman-owned story, and I think it'll
Thank you.
appeal to so many folks who actually became woman owners with the help of folks like Marie. Like I
Hmm.
remember I had no idea what business was all about and did take what online business was all about and took B school like back in the day. So you start, and for the first 10 years of your business, you are almost like a single person agency. So you are providing copywriting services to private clients. And
Yeah.
then about 10 years in, you've been building your list the whole time because of that one time you took instructions, right? You've been
Yep.
building your list. And like many service providers, I think we arrive at a point where we're like, you know what? I think I'm done using my skills this way. How can I redeploy these skills that I have through a different business model? And so what I'm hearing is that model switched to be affiliate income. So using your
Hmm.
writing skills to sell other people's products to your own audience,
Yeah.
Number two, your own courses.
Hmm.
Yeah, and which started with a copy cure, but there are other courses.
Yes.
Can you give us like a broad view of what your business looks like today? Like what kinds of things do you offer? Do you have a team? Just to kind of get a sense of what I love sharing on this show is all the different ways success can look. You know what I
Yes,
mean? Yeah. Can you
right.
give us a glimpse into what your business looks like today, like how it's kind of structured, what your model is,
Yeah.
and then we'll dive into email.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my business is called Talking Shrimp, by the way, and I incorporated just based on the tax advice from our CPA. He said, "Oh, you guys should, we had just recently gotten married, and in 2009, we couldn't believe how bad our taxes were." And he said, "Well, if you want your taxes to be lower, you should incorporate. You're both independent contractors. My husband works in restaurants. I worked um, in the word business. So he's like, just come up with a name, preferably something with an available URL." And we're like, oh, Talking Shrimp. Believe it or not, that wasn't taken. So we incorporated and got Talking Shrimp, and I had no intention of making this into a business because I didn't consider myself cut out for business. I thought you had to have like a business plan. I didn't have a vision for a business, and I didn't consider myself a leader either. I
Mhm.
never wanted to have a team.
Yeah.
That's not, I didn't want to manage people, not something that interested me or interests me now. And so I don't have what you would call a team, though I do have a team. So I have Sandra Booker, who's this wonderful person I hired as a VA in 2018, just based on somebody's recommendation on Facebook. And she quickly became my OBM, my online business manager. So I consider her my manager, but she's not full time for me. She's not my employee. So I don't have any employees. And she also has a wonderful person named Laura Balden assigned to me, I
Mhm.
think dedicated just to me, who handles the VA stuff, my inbox and admin, and loading my emails for me into ConvertKit, which is the platform I use. So I draft them in Google Docs and she loads them in. So that's all to say that's the structure of my business. It's
Yeah.
me with two people helping manage and assist, who are not full time. They're not employees and they're not
Yeah.
full time.
And
And
then
then,
you
yeah.
have, sorry, yeah. Oh, I cut you off. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Mm, mm. And I was going to say what my business looks like my kind of income pie is um, some affiliate launches and like several a year, I'd say. And then there are my own courses and products. So I have mini courses that I created back in like 2018 or so, when I didn't think I was capable of creating something bigger. It was too intimidating for me. And then I have my cornerstone courses that I created and offer, which are like Inbox Hero is the main one. That's an email copywriting course. And then I have spin-offs like Launch Hero,
Yes.
Story Hero, all these other courses. And I created one recently called Book Launch Hero based on my experience launching my first book and teaching people just walking them through what I did to make it a national bestseller, mostly using emails.
So cool. So the way that the business is broken down is it's affiliate and then your courses, and
Hmm.
obviously there's a book and book sales
Yes.
too. How do you distinguish between mini courses and your sort of hero courses? You know, like what was the
Yes.
difference with the mini? Because I love that concept too, like breaking it down initially for something that felt doable to you. Today, how do you see the difference between those two, the mini courses and the bigger courses?
Yeah. So mini courses are, well, I'll start with the model of a big course.
Yeah.
Say the Copy Cure, for instance. I think I left that out of my income pie, but it's a big piece.
Yeah.
The Copy Cure is multi-module. It's not as intensive or extensive as, say, a course like B School, which is dripped out over 6 weeks now. It used to be 8 weeks, and like modules released one at a time. At, like that's something I wasn't interested in creating, and still probably am not. So down from that, Inbox Hero is is bigger than say my first mini course, 60-minute makeovers copywriting mini course. That was originally a freebie that I created kind of on the fly. It was like, I'm just gonna annotate all these befores and afters of the client work that I've done. I had a portfolio of stuff. And I was like, these are great models. These are very um, teachable, these are teachable moments, every project that I've done. So I put a bunch together and created this kind of visual side by side before and after course, and people learn so well through visual examples. And I first used it as a freebie, not even an opt-in freebie. I gave it to everyone. We had a copy cure pop-up group one time, and I just dropped it in there and I was like, created a gift for you. And so many people said I would pay for this that I decided to to put a price on it and sell it. And then Inbox Hero was that came out of wanting to do or being asked to do an all email version of 60-minute makeovers. So it was going to be a mini course. And then it became so extensive. Like I had so many emails and so many things to say about them and so much to teach that it just became a course.
Yeah.
And so that's just the difference is like number of
Mhm.
pages or number of elements. Like I also have some videos in there and have been kind of um, building it and padding it out as I go. Like when people ask for something or ask a question that I don't know is addressed in there, I'll make a little video about it and put it into the Kajabi members area. So
I really
yeah,
appreciate you taking us through this because,
sure.
you hear about like the $1 million one person business
Hmm.
and they're actually they exist and most of the folks who listen to this have different types of businesses where they have team and where they have, but I think just being able to hear you walk through what your business looks like and how it works is super helpful. Okay, so now we've got the breakdown of your business. You kind of walked us through how it works. I think that's going to be really interesting to people who, like you, want to have that kind of business where they're not necessarily managing full-time employees, but they're able to make great money. And it really comes down to your email list and specifically your email newsletter. Now, we talked in the
Yeah.
green room about how, like, a few years ago, calling it a newsletter was not really, nobody wanted a newsletter. Now, newsletters are back, they're hot again. So, you have an email newsletter and an email list. And this has been like the big revenue generating engine of the business. Your
Yeah.
ability to build an email list, to engage your email list, have them want to read from you, read what you have to say, trust you, and follow your recommendations. If you might refer them to somebody who's creating a course, or, on the other hand, you might have something that you yourself are offering or selling. So what
Right.
I'd love for to do is to break down like what is your email list? Like how do you approach email? Like
Hmm.
technically, what do you do? And then we'll kind of break down like how you do it, some of the tricks that you have learned that have been most effective. And then we'll talk about how it's really kind of driven the growth of your business. So tell us when we talk about your email newsletter or the Talking Shrimp or Laura Belgray email newsletter, what
Hmm.
are we actually talking about?
We are talking about three like 3 times a week an email that I send to my list, which I call Gen Pop. It's like so these go to everybody as opposed to a segment. Say sometimes I'll send emails like informational emails about like coming up, next shrimp club. Oh, shrimp club is something that I didn't mention in there, but I've had this 8-month live mentoring party slash mastermind called Shrimp Club, which is also a part of that income pie, or has been. But anyway, so like they will get those segments will get emails sometimes that'll tell them like, we have a hot seat session coming up. But the Gen Pop newsletter goes to everybody on the list. And I email them on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. It used to be just Wednesdays. And I'll tell you this, that I worked with a coach named Ron Reich. He's awesome. And he said to me, if you waved a magic wand over your business, like what would change? What would that look like? And I said, well, if everyone who came through my virtual door bought my 60-minute makeovers mini course, I would be rich. And he said, okay, so you want to sell more of that. And you have it, and I had it in, like as a banner in the bottom of my emails, my weekly emails usually. Sometimes I would mention it, sometimes it was just there at the bottom. He said, I recommend you go from once a week to 3 days a week. And so instead of just Wednesdays, Mondays and Wednesdays will be the quote unquote pure value email. And then Fridays will be the pure sell email. And I was like, I don't know if I can stick with that. It sounds like a lot, but I'll try it for like a month and see what happens. So I did that, although I never do a pure sell email. Like I always put in storytelling and make it interesting to people who might not be interested in what I'm selling. But tried Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, mentioning the product on Fridays for a month, and sales doubled, more than doubled the income from that
Fascinating.
one product. Yes. So I saw that he was right when he had said more emails equals more sales. And so I have continued that because I found out that not only does it equal more sales, but it equals more creative output, more inspiration, more ease writing each email. It takes the pressure off of each email to be great or about that one topic. Like, what one thing do I want to write about this week? Instead, I'm like, I'll write about this today. Like this, last night this restaurant canceled our reservation on us and blew us off, and I'm so mad about it. I'm going to write about that. Or my husband was mad about the raisin ratio in his raisin bran this morning. I'm going to write about that. So you get to, when you're writing more frequently, you have an opportunity to go into the little things
Yes.
rather than this pressure to like come up with one great topic and think that that's going to be it.
Well,
So,
and those little things are often
mhm,
the things that are so much more universally relatable.
exactly. There's a saying in creative writing, in book writing, or I guess any kind of writing, that the more specific, the more universal. And
Yeah.
so specificity is my best friend in writing. I consider it my superpower, my edge, my extra, like just my best tool.
Yeah.
That like it's not just mine. Anybody can use it. Going into details about the little things.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about how you make this thrice weekly newsletter happen. So,
Hmm.
are you like so let's talk about like the labor side of it first. So, are you like a batch producer? Do you do it fresh? Do you write them all? Like, how do you maintain this level of consistency? Because you've been doing this for how many years now? 3 emails a week?
Since 2018 or early 2019, late 2018,
So 19, 20, 21,
yeah,
22, 23,
like
24. So
six
that's
years.
6 years.
Hmm.
What's that? 150. So this is like thousands of emails. Very, very cool. Okay.
Thousands,
Right. So
thousands of emails.
thousands. So walk us through, how do you personally produce this
Hmm.
volume of email? What's your routine? What's your habit?
Yeah. Okay. So I wish I were a batching person. So does my team that I spoke of. And,
I'm not a batching
and
person either. I just
oh,
can't. I can't.
I can't. I
No.
write one and then I feel done for the day, and it's so hard for me to write a bunch at once. And I do like to write them fresh. I, I have a Google Doc that my team creates every month. It'll be like this month is that we're talking in is August. So I have a Google Doc that says like Gen Pop August 2024. And it has every day, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday that I'm planning to write an email, all of them all set up with a little box at the top, like in Google Docs. Yeah, it's called a box, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, a little grid that talks about, that says, you know, date, time to send, um, segment, and it'll say like full list, subject line, preview text, and opt out if any.
Yeah.
And preview text is something that's often ignored, usually ignored, but I always make sure that it pops in the inbox as well as the subject line. So usually I fill those things in later. So under that email, like, okay, yesterday I wrote today's email, which
Hmm.
is a big, I try to write them a day in advance. Sometimes it's morning of, because I like to send them at 7.
Yeah.
So I went into the
7 in the morning,
Friday,
7 a.m.
yes, 7
Oh,
a.m.
yeah, smart.
Mm-hmm,
You're the
mm-hmm,
first
mm-hmm.
thing in the inbox. I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, yeah, so yesterday I go into the Friday, find the Friday box for yesterday, the date, and it already has the like, hey, Eleanor filled in, like, hey, first name and the code in there, so that it will populate correctly, the merge tag. So I start there, like, hey, Eleanor, and then I just start composing like what I want to write about. And it might be I might start with a story about one thing and decide I don't like where it's going and change it into a story about something else.
Mm.
Or I might do like a long preamble, and then get to the meat of it. And often, like, I'll let myself write it, but often I'll come back to the top and like just cut out that whole chunk at the top,
Yeah.
because it's usually throat, what they call throat clearing.
Yeah.
And people have shorter and shorter attention spans now, so don't
Yeah.
usually like to wade through it.
And how many
And
words, like, is your typical email? We hear that people's attention spans are shorter and so on. Like, I'm curious, how long are your emails typically? Or do
that's
you have
a
guidelines? Yeah.
good question. I don't know. I would say 250
Hmm.
probably. Um, like, even when I try to write, there's a thing called the 19-word email. That's just a sentence.
Yeah.
Um, hey, Eleanor, I'm getting together with a group of cool entrepreneurs. Would you like to join us? I can't even do that. I
Yeah.
always have to insert something else. So I would say probably 250. I go long because I have
Yeah.
so many things that I want to say, and I like including details, but I never let it just be rambly or, you know, I, I mean, some people might get impatient with it, one kind of reader, but I always try to tighten it as much as I possibly can, and and get to a point and make it satisfying.
Mm.
And even if it's a story that has nothing to do with what I'm offering or copywriting or anything like that, I try to sew it up with some turn, some kind of satisfying conclusion. And best like the best ones are the ones that segue naturally into an offer.
Yeah.
That's, I love doing that. But even when it doesn't, like, I feel like the story can be, quote, sponsored by the offer, and that can be popped in at the bottom.
Okay, so you generally write the emails fairly fresh, like the day of. You might wake up
Hmm.
nice and early to do it, or the day before. So you're basically producing about 3 emails per week, each week, over and over. Mondays and Wednesdays are pure value, and Fridays are like value plus an offer. Very cool.
Well,
Okay. Yeah.
I'll just go back.
Go
Like,
ahead.
I no longer go in that. I no longer stick to that. But generally, I just try to make them all a pure
Yeah.
value with an offer.
Yeah.
So
Smart. That's
yeah,
right. That's right. That sort of follows the same rule. If three emails is better than one, three offers is
yes.
probably also better than one.
Yes. And
Yeah.
also, I'm often pre-promoting something. And
Mm,
so even if there's not an offer of something to buy, there's usually a, like, so-and-so's offering a free challenge, or this is coming up, like Inbox Hero is coming up, click here to put yourself on the VIP interest list.
got
So
it.
something to click that's not necessarily something to buy.
Now, what have you learned in your experience has been most effective uh, to keep and maintain like a loyal readership? Because I think that most of us who are creating emails or, it could be anything like, podcasts, you want to develop a relationship with your audience over time. And of
Yeah.
course, some people will come and go, but what have you learned, that have been the most important things for you in terms of creating a loyal readership who wants to not only stick around, but will buy from you? Because that's kind of the key to this whole thing working.
Yeah, I think the key to that is just being consistently myself
Mm,
in those, and never succumbing to, like, oh, just use the swipe. or I'll let AI write this one for me. I'm not going to send anything that doesn't sound like me. I never send something. I don't switch back and forth between like this one's from me and then this one's from my bot, which I have seen companies do or people do, and I find it jarring. And also, I'm just like, I don't connect with this, and it makes me feel icky a little bit.
Yeah.
So I always give them me. I always provide entertainment. I always make it something that, or I try to make it something that you want to read, whether or not you are interested in what I'm currently promoting.
Mm.
And when I am promoting something and when I'm going hard, like sometimes sending more, like on a cart close week, sending more than 3 emails a week, I always use a soft opt out, which is that link either at the top or at the bottom saying, hey, this email is about like, Amy Porterfield's Digital Course Academy. Don't want to hear about creating a digital course? Here's your link, and it'll say, no, I don't want to hear about a digital course, or use this link and you can still stay on my list.
Yeah.
So that gives them a chance to opt out of the promotion and still stay on my list rather than just being like, ugh, I can't take these anymore. I'm
Mm.
just unsubscribing altogether. And that has saved a lot of unsubscribes.
Yeah, that's so smart. That's smart. Anything else?
Yeah. I do. I find people don't see this enough, so I probably have to make the font bigger, but I give the option to switch to weekly or monthly. So we send them a digest of what they missed, plus like if they choose weekly, send them the Wednesday email plus I think what the links to the ones they missed. And that also saves unsubscribes. And I should probably make it more obvious because sometimes people
Mm.
write me saying, like, I love your emails, but I can't read so many of them. I would love to have these weekly.
Yeah.
Like it's at the bottom. So that helps. But really, like when it comes to loyal readers, it's all about just writing the best emails I can, sharing my life with them, not turning into a business bot, not selling out to like just sell things and forget about story, forget about what's personal. This is also a creative outlet for me. I consider these emails not just my marketing, but a creative practice.
Yeah.
So and I treat them that way. I
Well, it's
don't
like you're sort of like
have
you're a
that.
humorist, you're a humorous essayist. There's a part that's
Yes,
like this category of which is a thing. What it's a
right.
form. Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
art form. Yeah. So neat. Okay. So we've talked about some of the things that have been most important in terms of preserving that list and keeping building this sort of loyal audience. And I think there's a sort of a subtext here which is really important to mention, which is that you can't hack it. Not really. Like there's like, things that you can do. There's like smart things you can do in terms of thoughtful and intelligent ways for people to opt out if you're doing a harder launch or something like that. But at the end of the day, like you can't fake or hack building relationships. It's about consistency and sharing your life and telling stories and, being specific enough so that it is the universal thing, like the number of raisins in the Shreddies, or in that
Yeah.
raisin bran, which I totally get.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's like a point that I sort of wanted to double click because I do find that sometimes as entrepreneurs, we can be very impatient and be endlessly searching for some magic bullet where that kind of relationship building with a readership is so key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree. And they don't have to be long when people are like, but I don't have time to write,
Yeah.
first of all, you don't have to write 3 emails a week. I think once a week is plenty to keep people connected to you and keep them remembering who you are and keep yourself top of mind. The more you send, the more sales you are going to make. But it doesn't have to be 3 a week in order to have like a solid relationship with your list. And they don't have to be long stories. Stories don't have to have a beginning, middle, and end. It can just be, was just thinking about this, just like my friend Frenchie just wrote a post today. It was just on Threads saying that she went past a farm stand and that she often goes to and saw them transferring Driscoll's berries into those green cardboard cartons that they use. And she connected it to like marketing practices. And I'm like, that's enough for an email. Like
Yes.
just that. I mean, it was just one thread. It
It's like
wasn't
a
even a
little
series of
glimpse.
threads.
Yeah, it's like a
Hmm.
glimpse of something. Yeah. Yeah.
Snapshot.
Yes.
Just a snapshot is enough for a story.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be background, what you were going to shop for, why you were choosing that farm stand, where it's located,
That's just
anything
throat
like that.
clearing.
Yes, throat clearing, exactly. So it can be succinct, it can be a tiny nugget of story as long as it's specific enough for us to be able to see it and be there.
Now, one thing I wanted to ask you about is building the email list. So let's assume that people understand you need to have an opt in and you need to actually have an
Mhm.
email list. But if you look back since 2009, what have been the two most important things that have driven the lion's share of your email list growth?
Ah, I would say podcasts for sure. Actually, well, it's three things.
Yeah.
First was early on, providing a testimonial for Marie Forleo. And the first time she asked me, when it was when she had a coaching business, I said, she was like, no pressure, if it doesn't feel right. And I was like, you know what? It kind of doesn't. I'm afraid people will see my name and like won't take me seriously because I felt like coaching was so iffy. And she was like, totally get it, no problem. And then she asked again, like a year or two later, and I was like, of course I will. And I was thinking, people probably won't see, like, who's going to see it anyway? And then, boom, like so many people found me through my testimonial for Marie Forleo, which is a great lesson. Like,
Yes.
give people testimonials because people find you through your testimonial. They will look you up and possibly end up on your list. Um, and then also, yes, being on podcasts since around 2016, 2017, I've been going on podcasts. And sometimes I see like thousands of opt-ins
Mhm.
from certain podcasts.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll just be a handful, but they'll be really great people. Those are quality people
Yeah.
who come to my list, who find me through podcasts. These are engaged listeners who, they will seek you out, even though there's nothing to click while you're listening to a podcast. And then guest posting in publications. I have guest posted in places like Business Insider and Money Magazine, and those posts drove because they allow what's called a shirt tail bio. And that's where you get to where it says like Laura Belgray is the founder of Talking Shrimp and co-creator of Copy Cure. Sign up for her 5 secrets to non-sucky copy here. So that a linkable, a clickable shirt tail is incredible. And one of the early articles that I wrote brought in maybe 1,000 subscribers the day it came out. And I
Wow.
was like, holy crap, this
Yeah.
works. This is great free advertising.
Yes. Oh, so cool. Okay. The next question that I had was when you think about email, so often CEOs are looking for what are some benchmarks or metrics for performance. So, how do you sort of measure? And I know it's a hard question because
Hmm.
by virtue of how you are building your relationship with your audience, it really is about that. You can't fake that. Like it has to be, if this is, I just want to have a newsletter that people enjoy reading.
Yeah.
you know However, my other I do have a question around benchmarks. Like, do you ever set benchmarks for what percentage of your overall email audience you want to have become not just email readers but actually purchasers? Like, do you look at email lists in that way?
Um, Sort of. I know that I should. I'm so not a numbers person, not a
Yeah.
data person, but Sandra, my manager who I mentioned,
Yeah.
she looks at these things for me
Yeah.
and she'll just say like, oh, these are doing great or these numbers are good. Sometimes what I'll have her analyze is like what emails that I've sent out have sold the most, led to the most number of sales for the thing that they're offering, if it's my product,
Yeah.
something evergreen like 60-minute makeovers. And then I will put those into my welcome sequence. And welcome sequence is something that I haven't mentioned before, but
Yeah.
I've been adding to it so that this is like a series of emails that you get when you opt in to my list, that take you through some of my best stuff. They get you oriented. They show you around the place. They help us get to know each other. They ask you questions so that you engage, and I get to know a little bit about my subscribers. And so over time, I've been adding in the ones that sell those products that are available all the time. And so that my week welcome sequence doesn't just nurture people and make them feel connected with me and prime them for when I launch something, but also gets them to buy.
There's so much to ask you, but I think, I think the goal here, folks, is to really give you some fundamentals, as Laura's talking through how she uses emails, and then if you want to learn, learn from her, we'll talk about where you can do that later and get some of those practical tips, through courses, books, whatever. So we'll get there in a moment. But what I want to, we were chit chatting in the green room about, my position with this show. Like, we have such smart women entrepreneurs listening. And for them, it's like, as we present these case studies, here's what this entrepreneur has done to successfully grow. It's like, okay, so walk us through the receipts. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So I would love for you to share, when you look at this commitment, and it has been a commitment to email, it's been a
Yeah.
commitment to this, to building this platform, to showing up consistently, to getting better and better, to, constantly studying your work and making pivots and shifts in it and so on. But tell us about how your thrice weekly email newsletter,
Mhm.
what results have it produced for you? What can you share, what you feel comfortable sharing, about what it has done for the business and for you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I was at an income ceiling for many years doing one-on-one work, and I was always booked.
Yeah.
And I ended up charging at the end when I wanted people to stop booking me. I was charging 14.50 an hour.
Oh, nice. Yeah, come
$1,450 an hour.
on. Yeah, yeah.
More than most lawyers
Yeah.
charge. And I was still getting booked thanks to my emails, because people were connecting with me and saying, I want your style of writing, or you're really good, or whatever. But then when I got tired, just felt really tired of having appointments on my calendar and
Yeah.
doing one-on-ones, when I switched to this model of just using my emails to sell my things and also other people's things. Um, that was 2019, and that is the year that I reached my first $1 million year. And that is from what I was selling with my emails.
Yeah.
That wasn't even including revenue from, say, the Copy Cure. Um, This was based on what I was selling with my emails, affiliate stuff, and then my own things. And that has continued year over year, sometimes more than 1 million, sometimes less. And that all depends on my list growth and how much I push it and keep at it. Sometimes I get lazy and plateau, and it's it's incumbent upon me
Yeah.
to build my list and be more active about it. And I keep saying, I have to get back to pitching publications, because
Yeah.
that's really powerful. Going on podcasts, which I do fairly consistently,
Yeah.
works great, and all those things that I mentioned. And I've never really used ads. I have ads running, but I'm terrible about them, about changing them, checking them, tweaking them. And so I'm sure I'm pouring money down the drain. Not a lot of money, but a little bit of money down the drain with those. But they do build my list a little bit. But that's all to say that this engine keeps going as long as I have new people coming in to my list, or as long as I'm creating new offers for the people who've already bought everything.
Amazing. Okay. And of course, it also transformed your book into, a national bestseller. And you mentioned,
Hmm.
some of the folks who are in your world that you may be an affiliate for, some of the big names like Amy Porterfield, Marie Forleo, like you are really there, as a colleague, but also as, as an affiliate for their launches. And it's not unusual for you to be winning out leaderboards,
Yeah,
and I mention who they are because they have big marketers marketing for them. So I think
right.
this is all just sort of some proof points and receipts, in terms of why you're here on the show and why we're really talking about how, the email and not just any old email, but telling stories and using some of the best practices that you've shared, why it's such a smart strategy. So as we wrap up, what I'd love is for you, like, where should people go? So definitely they need to get over there and get on your email list, and we'll include links, but like, where should people go to learn from you, to just get to know you, and to, start working with you?
Yeah. Okay, so come over to talkingshrimp.com. That is spelled just the way it sounds, Talking Shrimp. And if you want to know why it's called Talking Shrimp, go to my About page and it explains the whole thing. But you will see you can sign up just for my emails, or if you want my freebies, I have great ones there. You're looking for things to write about in your emails or your other content. I have something called Story Goldmine, which is 63 surprising places to mine your everyday life for stories that sell. And so you'll find that there. You will find my guide to non-sucky subject lines, a big key to getting your emails opened, and the one I mentioned earlier, my 5 secrets to non-sucky copy, a Talking Shrimp classic. And that is the way to get started. And I have a work with me page that has all the offers, all the courses and mini courses that are available now, or the ones that you can put yourself on the wait list for.
Laura Belgray, thank you so much for coming on the show, for sharing such an awesome case study. You know what? I'm going to go start guest posting again, right?
Do
I'm
it.
going to do it.
It's,
Yeah, I appreciate you.
yeah, likewise. Thank you, Eleanor.